All right, Chase.
That's me.
Chase, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Hmm.
And my dad worked for the airlines, so I traveled around a lot. We moved to, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, been all over.
What was your family like as a kid?
Upper middle class, good family. I was spoiled. Didn't realize it until later on in life.
What kind of relationship did your mom and dad have?
Well, they got divorced when I was about 13. It wasn't that good of a relationship, I'd say.
Yeah.
My mom was always accusing my father of, boning stewardesses and stuff like that. So, that's all I heard. And things flying over the breakfast table in the morning before I went to Catholic school. So.
How far did you go in school?
First through eighth grade, Catholic school. And then when I went to public school at ninth grade, I told my mom, I said, Mom, I did this in fifth grade. And she said, honey, just do your homework, get straight A's. And I said, well, that's what I'm not going to do. And that's when I took off to Inglewood, Compton, Watts, Lenox,
You moved to L.A.?
I ran away from home at a young age. I was about 14, Hollywood,
Really? So you never went to high school?
No. Went to Whittier High School for a little bit, where Nixon went to school.
Right.
But I think freshman year I took off.
What was your plan at 14 to move to L.A. and do what?
Well, find the truth, see what's really going on. I believed in Santa Claus when I was 14, and I just had a sheltered life, and I knew that, my parents were, well, not my dad, but my mom was bullshitting and, just wouldn't tell me the truth, so I was really pretty much seeking the truth,
It's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of things that they told me that I just knew, it wasn't true. I could tell. I had a gift at a young age. I could tell when people are lying or telling the truth. Very good judge of character. My mother said, don't ever talk to anybody that has bad teeth, because they're not taking care of their hygiene and they're not taking care of their business and things like that. And I'm so glad I didn't listen to her. Gum jobs and, toothless people. You heard of ruthless people, but toothless people, But anyway, whatever turn or crank, I'd get them a bottle or smoke crack with them or whatever, just to listen and, get to know, what's going on.
Did drugs become part of your life?
Yes, it did.
At what age?
14.
Yeah, 14. You come down to South Central.
Yeah, crack cocaine was, Ronald Reagan was in office. We had the Olympics in Los Angeles, and it was a free-for-all.
This is the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, crack was king then.
One of the best times of my life, really, Inglewood.
Tell me what it was like back then. Because you're a white boy in a black neighborhood.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy at first, because, being sheltered like I was, so I was absorbing everything. And but I was very generous, and it saved my ass a few times. And I was very polite, and the strawberries, they saved me a few times. They kind of took me under their wing. This ain't no Mark, this one's special, and
Strawberries are
hookers, that suck your dick or whatever you want for crack cocaine, and I watched how they just give them a little Kimball and bit, and then they take a big blast, and I didn't understand that. If I'm going to take a big blast, I'm going to give you a big blast. I want you to feel as good as I do type shit, I'm not going to chinch you or have you fiending for a fucking hit, I'm trying to get to know you, and 3's my favorite number because of Trinity. I get really close to people when it's, I always put you first, you and I, and, of course, I say God, but the universe or what have you, more spiritual than I am religious.
Mm-hmm. Do you appreciate African-American women particularly?
All women.
All women.
All women.
Good for you.
I don't...
But going down to that neighborhood.
Right, but yeah, it was mainly, black in that neighborhood. There wasn't too many white hookers or prostitutes. They're mainly black, and I learned a lot from them. They definitely high tech, high tech.
So now you're hanging around Figueroa Street?
Mainly 99th and Prairie, Century Boulevard, You know, I was hustling at the airport, and then Be Smart, rent a cart. They were $1, and when you returned them, you get a quarter. And I had pockets like this full of quarters, and just, man, it was off the hook. You know, the more money I got, the, more tricks or the more crack. So, I was just a chicken with my head cut off in the 80s, and there's a lot of money flowing. Cell phones came out, but they were in a big case, and people would leave them in their cart because the seat, they'd lift the seat up, and they wouldn't see them, and they're so happy to see their family. And I'd get the cart, and phones would be in the back. So, I definitely came up like vomit. That's for sure.
So you got addicted to crack early?
Yes, I did.
And you still are?
No, I could smoke, 20, and that's it. I love blowing it through my nose. I love the feeling. It's like euphoric. There's really nothing better than getting a head job, on crack cocaine. Your senses and everything just, it heightens them.
Yeah, I've heard the sexual experience when you're doing crack is something that
yes, it is. It was definitely addicting. I think I don't know what was more addicting. The head jobs or the crack cocaine, but both of them together was the perfect ingredient.
And the
toe curler.
Have you ever had relationships with women?
Of course.
Like non-transactional ones?
What do you mean non-transactional? I mean,
not transactional, like where you're giving them some drugs or money and they're giving you sex.
Oh, of course. I have a baby mama. I have 2 sons. One's in prison doing 25 years, and the other one's doing okay in San Diego. I'm still in touch with her and everything, and it seems like everybody that I've ever had contact with or made love to, I can still make love to them today. So
that's great.
It's a good relationship, I'd say.
You don't make a lot of enemies.
Yeah, I bet. You
have two kids?
2 boys, yeah.
And you said one is in prison?
Yes.
And where's the other?
San Diego, Vista.
Okay. And you were part of their life growing up?
Yes, definitely. My mom said I was too honest with them. I don't know how you could be too honest with your children. I definitely didn't want to have them believe in Santa Claus when they were 14 years old. And then, I didn't lie to them. I kept it real. And it's like a telekinesis type thing. My boys, they feel how much I love them, and vice versa. So I don't even write him. He's in prison, but it's like, I send him my energy and power and things like that, and, it bounces back.
What is your son in prison for?
A lady tried robbing him for 2 pieces of heroin. He moved up to Washington, but I taught him everything I knew at the time, and I've always dealt drugs or, hustled on the streets and things like that. So 2 pieces of heroin, and she tried running him over. And of course, at a young age, I taught my boys how to shoot a gun, and a lot of unloaded weapons kill kids every year. So I made sure that they knew if somebody was pointing a gun, pointed at the ground, and, don't play with guns. They're not toys, and things like that. But he shot her in the throat, when she was trying to run him over, and she's paralyzed from her neck down. And he said, "They're offering me 25 years, Dad." I said, "With the L?" He said, "No." I said, "Sign it." And I hopped on a Greyhound. I've been homeless for, I'd say, the last 20 years by choice. I did some hustling, and I hopped on a Greyhound and went up to see him because I also did a lot of time in prison. And I've seen a lot of homies and good motherfuckers get 25 years, and not only do they pass out in court, but as soon as they hit a yard, they get a gram of heroin, and they're dead. They don't want to cope with it. 25 years is a long fucking time, And so I hopped on a Greyhound and went up there and had to see him eye to eye. And my baby's mama, Shailene, she said, "Don't get a hotel room or anything. You can stay with me." And I said, "Well, that's cool." But I brought a bunch of speed up there to sell because they don't have the dope that we have down here, and they have good weed up there. So, I brought some speed up there and slung that and stayed with Shailene and went and saw my son.
So selling drugs is how you've kind of gotten by?
Yes.
For the most part since you were out here?
Yeah. Yeah. I went down to Mexico at a young age. I was tired of buying junk, cut. And I thought to myself, well, what's the best? Most of the drugs are coming through Tijuana. You know, my dad took me down there at a young age. We'd stimulate the economy at Christmas time, help the poor people, you know, watch a donkey show or what have you, and, you know, buy some Tony Lama boots and some belts and come back to, you know, California.
For those that don't know, what
Yeah.
you just said was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it
When you're
is.
stimulating the economy by seeing a donkey show. Explain that.
Well, it's a woman that is getting fucked by a donkey. And I don't know if you know how big a donkey dick is, but it's fucking ridiculous. And it's a trip to watch. And of course, a big crowd, you know, it's on Revolution Street in downtown, you know, Tijuana. And it's like, you know, this fucking donkey's just fucking kicking. And, you know, the way she's getting, you know, fucked with that donkey, it's just a trip. But if you're in the audience and you're taking a picture, my dad was a photographer in Fallbrook, you're going to pay him $5. And, you know, people are trying to take a picture. And back then it was Polaroids, you know, so it's $5 for a Polaroid because seeing is believing. What, a bitch getting fucked by a donkey? You got to be kidding me. Well, yeah, check it out. But so my dad had, of course, a Nikon and zoom lens, and, you know, he's zooming in, and, you know, they must have about 5 or 6 prizes in the crowd because you're not going to get away with taking a picture without paying. And, you know, my dad was always good with his mouth and stuff, but, you know, so he gave him a 20, you know. Eventually, you know, he didn't want to pay either, right? You know, it's this camera, what are you talking about, blah, blah, blah. But he's seen they were working together, and it's tighter than a frog's ass down there. You know, but he gave him $20 and said, no problem.
How old were you when your dad was taking you down there?
Oh, I think we're young, man. I was young. You know, I couldn't even tell you, probably 13, 14, you know. He'd take me down there younger than that, and, you know, I'd buy firecrackers and Chick-fil-A and, you know, smuggle them back. He said he had a 79 V-dub camper that was green. It was a pop-up camper, and we stayed down there for a while. But he'd say, don't be buying any fireworks, or we'd get sticks of dynamite and shit, you know, homemade. But I'd stash them in the V-dub and bring them across the border, and then I'd sell them, you know, in school or to the neighbors and shit like that.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it is. It was, definitely. Had some good times down there.
And it's probably no surprise then that you're hanging out with working girls
Right.
in South Central.
It was a tit for tat on a lot of times, you know. I'm looking out for them, they're looking out for me. Back in the 80s, there's a lot of pimps and, you know, a lot of crazy shit go on. Cisco was the drink for the women, and it had some kind of sulfur in it, and it just would make them flip. And I mean, the things that I've seen, you know, on Cisco, I guess they took that ingredient out of the, you know, the drink, but it was crazy. The bloodbath, you know, that I've seen. I mean, just the arms to the Contras. Oliver North was the scapegoat. We had cocaine coming in by the CIA. So we had crackheads that were now driving Cadillac Coupe de Villes with kilos in their trunk. And when they were smoking with us on the streets and hustling, and now they don't take short change. Short change is like, you know, it's a dime, $10 for, you know, dime crack rock, and you're coming with $6 and change and quarters. And, you know, many a times I've seen guys, money changed them, you know. So now they think they're, you know, big wig, they got money, they're better than us. And they'd slap the change out of a, you know, crack monster's hand, and booyah, head blown off. And before he hit the ground, motherfuckers were in his pocket, grabbing his chain, getting the keys to the Cadillac. I mean, over and over and over again, I've seen that happen, and I'm just going like, what the fuck? Let me get out of here before you go. You know,
Has South Central gotten better since then, or is it worse?
It's getting a lot better.
Is
I mean, oh yeah, then back in the 80s, it was like, man, murders everywhere. You know, Crips, Bloods. You know, that's what the government wants us doing, fighting each other. You know, I believe in one love, and, you know, treat other person like you want to be treated, you know what I mean? I've never had any problems. I'm blessed like a motherfucker, but on few occasions, the hookers saved my ass, you know. This ain't no mark, you know, this one's special. Oh, you ain't laying a hand on, you know, and get in front, you know, and protect me like that. And there's only 2, you know, strawberries from the 80s that are still alive because they get on dialysis. But some of the stories and some of the, you know, wounds I've seen on their tits. You know, every time a guy took a crack hit, he'd burn them on their, chest, and just some of the scars that I've seen. It's like, wow. And back then, Rambo was real popular, so they were selling those Rambo knives for $1.99 in downtown LA. And the back would unscrew, and you'd have a thing in there with 2 rings on it where you can cut a limb off a tree. Well, they're cutting heads off and stabbing motherfuckers with those knives, and I had quite a few of them pulled on me, and thank God I haven't been stabbed. But once again, strawberry cutting in the way. This ain't no mark, this one's special, and I always listened to him and absorbed. I was like SpongeBob SquarePants, I was absorbing everything like a sponge for survival, and things like that. But then I started doing things at the airport and bringing brothers down there. Oh, we can't go to the airport. Shit, you white and we black, and they're going to lock us up. And I say, hey, man, I wouldn't let that happen to you, But every time I brought a brother to the airport, they wasn't fucking with me and they'd fuck with him. But I'd keep an eye on them and make sure that I'd cut in, because I was stealing. Air France would bring in the croissants in the morning, and they'd have ham and Swiss and cherry tomatoes. Just everything was so ripe and perfect. $20 back in the 80s, you'd pay for that. But I was stealing them and giving them to the undercover cops that were sitting out there reading the paper looking for, pickpockets. And, there's a lot of shit going on at LAX airport back in the day. And I knew all the undercover cops. I went to a few DEA, Christmas parties, and they had pot plants with baggies of flour, and of course I had to see what it was, what they got in there, and it was flour, but a real pot plant with flour in it. And they were teaching ticket agents how to look for drug dealers that were going one way with their carry-on. Cocaine was the big thing back then, the white man's aspirin, but if you get busted with an ounce of powder, you're going to get a slap on the hand. You get busted with an ounce of crack, you're going away for 10, 20 years. So I was seeing how the laws and how, things were happening. It's like, every time somebody was coming up that was black, they were killing them or doing something. So I was very interested in that and intrigued. It's like, what's going on? What are people afraid of? Or, and some of the most intelligent motherfuckers I've ever met in my life were crackheads. I mean, on a high-tech, I say high-tweak level, because I'm a Ritalin baby, and now I do speed, and every day, I've been doing speed since I was 14, except when I go to jail. But if it's in there, I hustle and get it, or, it's a white boy, and he blesses me because I have the keys to the, jail cell or what have you.
Mm. You did prison time as well?
Yes, I have.
What was that for?
Oh, a lot of drugs, robberies, burglaries, pretty much everything from A to Z except for murder and rape.
Yeah. And you still have ongoing relationships with a lot of the girls that work? The hotels and the streets?
Of course. I mean,
what do
I'm
you
a
like?
freak. I was born a freak, so it's like, and once you go black, you never go back type shit.
Explain that. Why is that?
Well,
I've heard that.
The dark side. The dark side, it's either black or white, and there is no gray area. That's, you have gray matter in your brain, and I've seen that splattered all over the concrete plenty of times. But it's either black or white, and you got to pick a side. You can't straddle the fence. And I picked the dark side a long time ago. I believe I was born, married to Diablo, so to speak. I always wear a wedding band, and people say, oh, are you married? Well, not only are women attracted to men that are married, but, I feel that I've been married to Diablo from birth. It's like just the way my life has been and the way I am.
But that doesn't mean black women represent the devil or anything like that.
No, nothing of the sort. I think the sickest and craziest ones I've ever met were white, as far as strawberries concerned, or, hookers. I mean, just, I thought I was sick,
How often do you get involved with the girls down there?
Daily.
Daily?
Daily. I've been doing some other things. I just got an apartment through the homeless thing that's going on. I was fighting a murder beef that I had nothing to do with, and I did 8 months fighting that. And I was just seeing all the money that they're giving, for this and for that. And, I know a lot of street family, I call them, SF, since we're from California, and San Francisco. It's gold and maroon 6, and 4 and 9 is 13. So it's like, I thought, wow, that's a good street family, 13. Not only for the raza, but, like lucky 13, you know what I mean? And so I've always had a bunch of compounds. And compound is a homeless encampment where there's a head charge, and that was me. And I had a crew that, ran it real tight. Women were safe. You didn't have to worry about anything. And that's a good feeling, on the streets in this day and age. You can kick back, enjoy yourself, get your dick sucked, fuck. We can barbecue. This guy has a route and he's getting ice cream. This guy gets fresh fruit. This guy's boosting steak at fucking Ralph's. So, we were eating good and, it was awesome. Wasn't like, oh, I'm homeless and I'm stressing and, blessed like a motherfucker and ran a tight, compound.
So you live a life that's very, very different from what most people
yes,
have ever even imagined.
Yes, I would say so. And there's a, black market underground, that's out here. And anything that you have to pay big money for, I can get cheap, and it's not counterfeit. It's the real McCoy. Either they stole a 18-wheeler or, they busted into a warehouse and filled up a U-Haul truck or, it seems like we get all the, best brands before other people do. It's a trip, the connections.
Tell me about some of the working girls that you've known over the years, like some of the, as strawberries, as you call them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about them as a subculture.
I'll tell you, like I said, the most intelligent women I've ever met in my life were smoking crack. And of course, when I smoked crack, I wasn't so much into the sex part, but boy, would they get your dick hard and rock it like a motherfucker, or, show me tricks of the trade where, the pipes used to have a bowl and then it had a bubble and then it would, go down. And I was making so much money, man. There's so much oil in that pipe. And what they do is they take the Brillo out and put in some 151, shake it up, and put it on any table. And I was a germ freak growing up. I'd wash my hands 1,000 times. Boy, did I get over that. And going to the airport watching, the people on the street, I was like, what in the fuck is that guy doing in that trash can? What could be in that trash can where he's digging in like that? His feet are, out like that. Like, what the fuck? I was a germphobe, and I'm not now, but if somebody sneezed, I'd literally go like that because I know that's coming out of your mouth at so many miles per hour, and you're going to, hit me with the germs, and it's a trip, how I swapped over to that, started dumpster diving and, finding the gold down at the bottom of the fucking trash can because it was so heavy. But Mercedes is one that comes to mind, and she taught me how to do that. And then she lights it on fire. And, the 151 is flammable, of course, and it evaporates real quick. And then she'd get out a card, and nobody had ID back then, but it was some kind of, card. VIP doesn't need ID. And she'd scrape it in a pile, and it looked like brown heroin, kind of like Huff, the shit that you go on a spoon, and it would melt. And she'd put some caviar, which is crack cocaine, and she'd put some of that on top of it, the brown powder. All the cuts out of it, it's pure crack cocaine, pure cocaine. And she'd suck my dick. We were in glass houses, which a glass house is, a spot like this, I'd say, but everybody has their back against the wall and they're hitting the pipe, just sizzling the crack on there. And if you had money, you could rent the bathroom and sit on the toilet, get your dick sucked or bend her over the shower, fucking sink or what have you. And so I'd always like that. And, go in there, no privacy or what have you. Talk about a toe curler, tell me when you're about ready to nut. And then, and she light it because, when you're feeding on crack, you just put that light on, you're, sizzling it up, and you're sucking like a golf ball through a garden hose. So you're pulling all the dope through the screen, but you got to hit it slow. And there is a technique that I finally learned. And but I'll tell you, it's like convulsions, toe curler, eyes rolling back in the head, and sucking up every fucking bit of nut, in your ball sack.
Can you enjoy sex without the drugs now?
Sure. I mean, of course.
It's
better. Why would you? Why would you not use a drug that intensifies it by, I say, times 10? You know what I mean? Of course, sensitive. The head of your cock's more sensitive. It's almost like ecstasy. I've had women that, and I haven't done DMT and some things that I look forward to using, but it's like they come with me combing their hair. They're so sensitive and stuff. They got some pills out now that it was called Molly. That's what it was. But your whole body's tingling, and just it's. I can't even put it in words, but 10 times, 100 times, sensitive, and copping more nuts than a squirrel. That's for sure.
That would explain why these drugs are so popular.
Yeah. Well, they say crystal meth and friend of mine. I don't call it, that's what I call it, crystal meth and friend of mine. And she's never let me down, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of fentanyl in it now. How can you smoke a bowl of speed and go to sleep? So,
right, that doesn't make sense.
So, they're into the money. They want you addicted. They want you buying more. They want you smoking more. I don't fuck around with that. I have a source. I've been down to Tijuana, so I know, people, and I got connections, and I don't fuck around with that. But it's not what it used to be, but it's still good. The P2P dope back in the day is the dope, and then they started. There's not too much P2P dope.
What is P2P?
It's a chemical that they definitely are controlling. Ephedrine's coming over from China. It's a plant, but I see ships getting busted out there in the waters, tons of ephedrine. It's supply and demand, and they can't get enough supply over here for the demand. And, it's cheap now. It's about $100 an ounce. I remember when fucking 8 balls were $100, and back in the day, crack cocaine is still expensive. I'd say about 200 8 ball, 8-track to call it, But, I get a good source, and, the fentanyl I don't fuck with, because it does kill people. I mean, they're dropping like fucking flies, man. And it's in the pills. Everything's made down in Mexico. So the M30s, if it's coated, it's, from the pharmacy. And if it's not coated, it's a press down in Mexico. But they want the ones that aren't coated because they got fentanyl in them, and you never know. They can't mix it up perfect, so people are ODing on them. They're dropping like flies.
I'm sure living the life you have, you've lost a lot of friends.
Oh man, I've seen a lot of death around me. I'll tell you. Yeah, and I don't have any friends. I consider the people I cross paths with soulmates. A friend is somebody you think you know who they are, and they stab you in the back when you least expect it. I got soulmates. I'm honest with people. I'm good motherfucker, and I expect the same in return, and if I don't get it, I'll take it, type shit.
Do you have any regrets of not living a straighter?
Not one. I wouldn't change one motherfucking thing. It made me the man I am today, and if I were to change something, my son wouldn't be doing 25 years in prison. That's about it. But I have about that much time under my belt, and I'm not bragging, in and out, in and out, in and out. Because once you get a number, they don't want you to get off that number, So they'll do anything they can to violate you, or, it's just jumping through hoops that I don't jump through, and I used to not go to parole officers and stuff, catch me if you can, and try to run from the cops and stick the dope up your ass, so when you get in there, you got some top ramen soups that they're charging $1.25 for. You know what I mean? But it's been crazy, I'll tell you.
Has there ever been a girl that you've met down there in this life that you've developed feelings for?
I've developed feelings for everyone, of course, I love people, I don't hate anything or anyone. I might hate the things that you do, but I don't hate you, I love you, and I like to see what makes people tick. I get hurt when I'll bend over backwards. I'll do anything for you. Ask and you shall receive. you know. I've taken people's lives because they wanted me to take their life. They're suffering and things like that. And we had a pact. If I ever, you know, am in this position, I want you to do this, Chase, please. And, you know, promise me. And, you know, we have a pinky promise. And if you don't follow that pinky promise, you know, you disappear. And I had a few brothers that died of AIDS back in the 80s, passed away. I say I don't believe in death. I believe in reincarnation. I've definitely lived a lot of lives, different lives. I know too much about things that are going on. But I sit back and now I listen and I feel and I, you know, pull in the vibrations and the frequencies that, you know, I feel, you know. And what was the question? Did I go around it?
No, your answers to my questions are always more interesting than I'm hoping for.
Oh, okay.
I was just asking if you know, like,
Feelings
in this
for
lifestyle
women.
where you're meeting all these women, whether you...
I love them. I love them. You know, they're out there for a reason, right? They got raped as a child, molested, you know, 9 out of 10 of them.
Exactly.
They got molested by their father or their mother pimped them out, or when
Uncle,
they're 8 or 9, you know. A couple of them were honest with me. They couldn't get home from school quick enough for, you know, Dio to start rubbing on them and, you know, licking on them and stuff like that. I appreciate your honesty. I reward honesty. You know what I mean? I don't like a bullshitter. I don't like a motherfucker that thinks he's, you know, can blow smoke up his ass, or even a female. There's nothing to lie about. It's you and I, and, you know, I'm not a gossip queen. I can be, you know, I can stir up the pot and do whatever the fuck I want to do. But when you're talking something serious like that, I take it serious. I want to help you. I don't want to hurt you. Let's get to the core of the matter. What's your goal? You want to get your son back? He lives in Chicago. You're way out here. Well, it can happen, you know. Positive thinking. Keep it positive. Even though we're in an environment where it's a bucket of crawdads and you're at the top, about ready to get out of the bucket, a crawdad's going to pull you right down there with us because it's like, hey, you know, misery loves company type shit.
Have you ever seen a working girl or anybody from this lifestyle who actually did get out and take a straight path and get their lives together?
Over and over and over again.
You do?
Yes, with help. Mm-hmm. With help. The last one I remember was in Wisconsin, and she was from Chicago. And what they do is when it's snowing out there and stuff. Well, it was snowing in Wisconsin. They call them snowbirds. They go back to, you know, warm climates when it's, you know, snowing and stuff. But they're staying at the Android Hotel, and I met them. They were doing sting operations, and I was like, hey, you guys chill out in the spot. I'll bring the marks up there. I'm not going to bring a cop to the pad. You guys know that I got skills and gifts. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And one of the gals was just, she wasn't right in her head because of her kids. She was trying to get her kids back, and her goal was to make $5,000 so she can get an apartment and, you know, do this, that, and the other, and get her kids back. And I helped her with that, and she blessed me also. And she took a Greyhound back and, you know, kept in touch with me, and she got her kids, you know, and she's just so happy and ecstatic and, you know, handling business. And, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody who actually pulls himself out.
Of course. But it's a choice, you know. When my kids were young, I was young too. Shailene was 16 and I was 19 when I had my first kid. And, you know, I told them, you know, I picked a lifestyle. You know, it's a lifestyle, you know, and, you know, this is what daddy does. And, you know, okay, you don't want gifts and toys. You rather have your daddy. I understand that. But, you know, I was running drugs, you know, to different states and things like that. I was getting it very cheap. I was sticking with weed because it would have been a slap on the hand. Back in the day, it was a day per pound if you got busted at the border. So, you know, I was staying under the radar type stuff. But I got off on the rush. And I'd take the earrings out. I wouldn't smoke. You know, it's all about body language. You know, I don't panic, you know. So, you know, I went fishing. How was the fishing? Good. Okay, come on through. You know, you have anything to declare? No, sir. You know, and just boom. But your heart's pumping like that. And, you know, you fucking got drugs in the tires and the fucking quarter panels and the fucking seats you're sitting on. And, you know, that's before they were away in the Chevy Suburbans, you know, and we were just bringing them across fucking loaded to the gill. You know, cocaine was, I don't know, what, 30,000 for a kilo, you know, but we sell it by the pound. But you could cut a kilo with a pound of cut, and they think it's the best shit they ever fucking did. You know what I mean? You know, because you're getting it. It's called abalone, and it's fucking beautiful. But a kilo, you break it in half, and just inside it was like fish scale. The color's so beautiful, purple or, you know, pink, and, you know, just fire. Add a little water and baking soda, and, you know, a Gerbil jar, or, you know, a spoon or whatever, and that's all you needed.
That's how you made crack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pure, you know.
What's your biggest fear now? How old are you?
I'll be 55 July 24th.
55. What's your biggest fear at this point in your life?
Biggest fear? I don't have any fears, to be honest with you. Something big's coming up. You know, we're ready for New World Order. We got every crack and crevice covered, and it's just a matter of time before, you know, it's going to flip. Money's going to be obsolete. I've been spitting a few things since 1999, and I was told recently that all my predictions came true, and there's one that hasn't, and that's a blackout. And we're going to have a blackout, and it's going to be on a frequency like a dog whistle. And why would you buy an electric car, an electric bike? Why would you make a law saying that you have to buy an electric lawnmower or weed whacker when it's going to come to Mad Max, baby? You know, I want an engine I can work on and ride around on, you know, and, you know, it's like electric. And if you want to know what's going on, watch Hollywood. You know, the Jews are letting it out little by little by little. You know, Kennedy got killed because he's going to tell us about the aliens that they're fucking dissecting in Area 51 and shit like that. So many fucking different entities on this planet. It's ridiculous. And the eyes are the windows to the soul. And, you know, I've looked people in the eyes when I'm talking to them. And I've seen reptilians. I've seen things that 1/3 of the angels, how big's that number? And intermingling, you know, and off, you know, I mean, royal bloodline, I'll say. And with gifts, I thought I was the only one with the gifts that I have. There's a lot of other people that have gifts that are just so mind-blowing. It's like, God damn, you know, and you can't teach it. And, you know, it's something you're born with, and it's instilled in you. And I was told I have gifts that I haven't even, you know, fucked with yet, you know. And I'm looking forward to that also. You know, I say, if I just had what I had before this, we'd be all right. But, you know, I say, you're going to get that back and some. So, you know, I'm waiting patiently on that, you know. And I couldn't lose gambling. You go in with $200-300 and you leave with $30,000, and I'll give you 10 grand and her 10 grand, and I'll turn in 10 grand. I'd rather give you $400 in the fucking government. So, you know, turn in 10 grand, and I'd do it like that, you know, tax-wise. I've never worked... I knew at 14 that Social Security was going to be obsolete. Why would I pay into something that I'm not going to benefit from? Just like my father working for 30 years with Pan American Airlines. Oh, they're going to fold? They're going under? They merged with National Airlines? 30 years of dedication, never missing a day of work, and you're just going to cut them loose? I mean, he worked long enough to where he had an inside, you know, tip. Settle for this and get out now because we're going to be folding. And Pan Am's one of the, I mean, come on, we took the Beatles, you know, we had all the routes overseas and everything. I mean, I just don't understand it. I see these other airlines, American and United, and, you know, Pan American should still be flying.
Yeah, they were a big airline just like the others.
Very big. And then Boeing 747s, I mean, most beautiful plane, you know, for me, you know, on the planet, you know, the first class, you're up on the top, you take the staircase up, and, you know, it's just meant I was Clipper Club and had to wear a tie and, you know, but, you know, played the role. I thought it was John Gotti, you know what I mean? It's like I could tip it, a wad of dollar bills and, you know, tip it everybody, and just like down in Tijuana, you know, I'd get 101s and just, you know, give the kids, you know, to see them light up fucking dollar, you know what I mean? Like, goddamn. But, you know, it was fun.
Tell me one of your favorite stories from all your years in the hood.
Oh, man.
You gotta have a story or two.
Fuck, I got a lot of them. I mean, well, I'll say this. I used to get 2 hotel rooms and jacuzzi, you know. I tell coughing. I cough and come. It's like it's like vapors. And
crystal meth is a crazy drug, I've heard, sexually.
Well, I say crazy when I don't understand, but it's fucking awesome. And it is a fuck drug. Sometimes you get that dope. It's all about pH. So when I take a shit and I wipe my ass and I nut, I know the pH is perfect for a man, and it's different for a woman. But if you do a shot, you cough and come and get something done. If you smoke it, you're going to be sitting around talking about shit you ain't never going to do. And you want to sit there and just smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke. Well, okay, if you need to work and you start working and you get your heart going, it'll kick in. If you want to paint grandma's house and get her done, you do a gagger and, you're going to get her done, But, that's pretty much, I trip out on how much dope people smoke. They just sit there and they're smoking and smoking and smoking. It's like, what the fuck? I like to do shit constructive. If I'm home, I got neighbors out there. It's part of our community. I'm picking up the trash. I'm letting hey, motherfucker, don't be throwing that down there. Trash can's over there, I work with Caltrans. Leave me some bags. Is it okay if I set the trash up right here, make it easy for you? Make it easy for us because we don't like you coming into camp. We are active. And, they started, cutting our tent lines and shit at first. And then, we needed, like a 30-day notice or a 3-day or quit, just like a regular person with an apartment. So some things changed, but it took going through hell, to get it like that. But I talked to Caltrans guys, I talked to the head charge, and I'm respectful, and he's respectful to me, and this, we always meet in agreement. So instead of having to talk to 20 different people, they talk to me, and I get it done, and everybody's happy, All
right, Chase, let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
Whew. Man, I learned a lot of lessons, and I'm still learning as we speak. Lesson, you get what you give. You know what I mean? I told 1 million people that, and I'm all about statistics. Numbers are everything. And only one person told me, I don't want to get what I give. And I said, what'd you say? And it was a he-she. This was a dude with tits that wanted to be a woman. And he felt like he should have been a woman. And when it's like that, I give them what they want. I call him a he, she, but it's like, that's somebody's son. Don't get it twisted. But it's like, I treat him like a woman. And only 1 out of 1 million said, I don't want to get what I give. Invisible or invincible? And let me ask you that. Would you like to be invisible or invincible?
Invincible.
Okay. Wrong answer. Both. What I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, both of them. And for a while, I was both, what I mean? And there's 1,000 eyes on shit, and that's 500 flies. And sometimes I just cannot get out of the limelight. I'm like, do what you want with my body, but no paparazzi. I mean? This is the first time I ever did something like this, But my boys I trust, and they told me to come down. It's a pleasure to meet you. And
you too,
you got a good professional setup here, and like I said, it's all good.
Well, you're very interesting. Thank you so
very
much
much
for sharing your ideas
you.
and stories. Thank you, man.
It's all good.